How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family, I seen a video over on Roland Martin's channel that I felt was absolutely necessary to play and to get around more, and I pray that other people in the royal family will share these videos. And something that's very crucial to us, black identity extremists, they trying to push that narrative too. See, they are frustrated here in America because they want to label us with these bombings at these synagogues and various places that their own are targeting them. Their own is doing this. But, you know, they want to lie. In, you know, in America, if you lie enough, eventually we become the target, and in America they will believe this shit. And I don't know how long they've been pushing this shit. We could say they've been pushing it forever. Always have some type of fear of the royal family. So this video that I'm gonna play, let me get over here, and we're gonna get right into it, because the sister, she was really bringing it. So let me open this up and let's jump into it.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible. All right, folks. We talked about, of course, white domestic terrorists often on this show, but the FBI somehow is focused on black extremists. Yesterday, the Democratic oversight hearing, where you had Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, who jammed up the FBI and asked about the legitimacy of the FBI's claims against black people. Check this out.
And the chair now recognizes the gentle lady from Massachusetts, Ms. Pressley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There is not a single doubt in my mind that the growing number of hate crimes taking place in this country are a byproduct of the hateful rhetoric being spewed regularly by the current occupant of our White House. This administration has emboldened white nationalism, white supremacy, and far-right extremism, including anti-Semitism and Islamophobia, all while suggesting these groups do not present a growing threat to our communities and national security. We know otherwise, and the witness testimony we've heard today is further proof that this is not the case. I want to thank the witnesses for being with us today, and I want to extend my deepest condolences to Mrs. Bro and the countless other families who have lost loved ones due to intolerance, hate, and bigotry. Mrs. Bro, your courage to come before us today and to stand up for what is right is a testament to the love that guided Heather's life in her quest for racial and social justice. Although there is no hierarchy of hurt throughout our nation's history, hate crimes have disproportionately impacted the black community. Since 1995, black Americans have been victims of 66% of all racially motivated hate crimes. The numbers don't lie. Black Americans continue to find themselves at the greatest risk. This year marks 400 years since the first African slaves arrived on the shores of Jamestown in the hull of ships, robbed of their freedom, culture, and humanity. Racism against black Americans is entrenched in the enslavement of our African ancestors and has manifested in our nation's institutions and policies. And despite the progress we've made as a country, black Americans are still treated as second-class citizens, disproportionately targeted for driving while black, walking while black, lunching while black, organizing while black, literally existing while black. In 2017, an FBI intelligence assessment leaked identifying quote-unquote black identity extremists as a prime threat to law enforcement officers. To be clear here, the FBI was tracking peaceful protesters while advising local law enforcement agencies that these groups were a violent threat. This is the same agency that secretly spied on Dr. King and civil rights activists for their pursuit of equality for black Americans, a movement that at the time, if we're telling the truth, was vilified, and yet today we celebrate. Mr. Austin or German, yes or no, since I have limited time, do you believe that so-called black identity extremists are a significant threat to law enforcement? Yes or no?
The name BIE is a made-up term that is reckless And that is something that is simply going to continue the problems that we are seeing right now, where 1,000 people die at the hands of law enforcement every year. It should have never been put out. It should have never been given to state and local. It should have never been done.
And I agree with that statement.
Okay, so again, for the record, do you believe that so-called black identity extremists are a significant threat to law enforcement?
No, I don't believe there's such a thing.
Thank you. Mr. German, are you aware of any data that would justify the FBI's focus on that issue or surveillance of groups like Black Lives Matter?
No, not data that would justify that. I don't believe there's data that would justify that kind of surveillance.
Are you aware of the agency's use of face recognition technology to survey and target groups like Black Lives Matter?
I'm aware that facial recognition technology is being used in law enforcement broadly and by the FBI as well.
And at a time when black Americans are 3 times more likely to be killed by police, a document like the FBI's intelligence assessment is not just misleading, it is reckless and dangerous. Mr. German, what do you see as the danger posed by the FBI's messaging on so-called black identity extremists?
Well, if you look at that intelligence assessment, it has a lot of information, very poorly analyzed, putting things that are not related together in a way that poses a scary message to law enforcement without any advice about what to do about it. So all that they can do is be afraid that black activists pose a threat to them. So when any kind of group goes out to engage in its First Amendment rights, the way the police are going to respond to them is as if they are a physical threat to law enforcement, and that can be very dangerous.
All right, and since I'm running out of time, Madam Chair, I ask unanimous consent to include a statement for the record from Rabbi Jason Kimmelman-Block, Director of Ben the Ark Jewish Action.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you. One of Heather's last Facebook posts shared was, and I quote, "If you're not outraged, you're not paying attention," unquote. I hope this conversation sparks the outrage that we need to finally shed light on the evils of white nationalism and far-right extremism and invokes the will and the courage to tackle it head on. Thank you, and I yield.
So I want to play that full for you because more than likely you did not see that last night on any cable news network, which is why it's important, because they probably are spending their time talking about Iran or Trump or some nickname he's given some candidate. But the reason we exist is to be able to speak to our issues, and that is one that's critically important to us.
All right, folks, back up. All right, Roland Martin, I do agree with you on that one. We needed to get that information out. And for the record, the FBI, on the record, said, we ain't a danger. See, when they say, they're trying to, just label the activists. No, it's all of us. We already know this. We don't pose a threat. Y'all been posed a threat to us. Every damn day in America, we seeing harm done to us. There's many channels out here that's putting this out. It ain't enough channels as far as I'm concerned. This needs to be shared, my royal family, that black identity extremist shit is not real. We already know it, but we have to advocate for ourselves to keep us protected in America. And I thank our Queen, Miss Presley, for exposing that and putting that on the record. So, my royal family, render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe. Oh, excuse me, my royal family. I have an article here that I also, anybody want to jump into it, they can read it and pass this article on too. I will make sure I have the link in there and everything. So, my royal family, Ashe.